And we're back. It was Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 0 today. And I guess the question is, has Arne Slot finally managed to break that hoodoo of Liverpool's early kick-off after a European game on international break? Well, Liverpool got 3 points, but the performance, there's still plenty of question marks, I think, how Liverpool performed overall in the game. But they did manage to win, of course, and they did manage to stay on top of the league going into this next international break. So what happened in the game? Well, a couple of big calls in terms of the lineup. Kostas Tsimikas comes in there for Andy Robertson, and Gakpo is there for Diaz. That's always a question, who's going to start on the left. Jota and Nunes. I don't think many people are expecting Nunes to start there, so Jota was there. But the big one, it's Curtis Jones gets a start ahead of Dominic Szoboszlai. Might have been a kind of rotation thing, but I think Curtis Jones does enough when he's been coming on in games to kind of be part of that question of should he be a viable option to start there. And the first half, I think he did really well. Obviously, when the opposition has the ball, the advanced midfield player, in this case Curtis Jones, always presses high, and Liverpool always turn into a 4-2-4. And I don't think Crystal Palace was that bothered by it. They were playing a very direct style, and they started off with a really aggressive start. So these wing backs were kind of pushing up, and which was great news for Liverpool, because it meant in these areas there, the wide areas, which was mostly on the left, Liverpool tended not to attack up on the right, but mostly on the left. That's where Liverpool were getting joy, and that's where Liverpool got the goal. Great work by Kostas Tsimikas. Great ball to Cody Gakpo, finding that space there. And Gakpo, I think he was relishing that time and space that he had there. Crosses the ball. Diogo Jota slots it in, possibly through the keeper's legs. I can't quite remember. But is it probably no one else in the Premier League, certainly no one else in the Liverpool squad, that you'd want to have in that position, the old fox in the box kind of thing. If he's got one chance in the area, that's where Diogo Jota comes alive. Great goal. What makes it a little bit concerning, or a bit of a question mark there, is that Jota had two other really, really good chances to score. He should have had a hat-trick, really. On another day, he might have. But for other players, maybe, I wouldn't say the half chances, but, Jota had a really good chance in the penalty area. Takes a bit of a snapshot at it. If Nunes does it, you wouldn't be really surprised, but Jota does it, you was quite surprised, because he is so deadly. Second half, he has a header that he kind of glances wide, and he is extra deadly in the air as well. So that was a little bit of just a bit disappointing that Jota couldn't kill the game off. And that's where maybe you don't question Arne Slot's tactics too much, because on another day Liverpool could have won 2-0, 3-0, possibly. But you get into the second half and the intensity drops out of the game. Part of the reason for that was that McAllister, he comes off. He's on a yellow, takes a yellow late on in the first half. Slot makes the call, like, it's probably not wise to leave him on there. So he comes off, Szoboszlai comes on. The second half, Curtis Jones drops down. Liverpool, as the second half kind of goes on, the intensity really drops out of Liverpool's game. A little bit concerned to see, because once that intensity drops out, it's really difficult for the side to regain that. You can't just go through the gears once you've dropped down. And Liverpool, I think maybe they're under the illusion that they had control over the game, because ultimately they had more possession. They were knitting a few passes together. But I don't think you have to have the ball. I don't think you have to have possession to have control over the game. Players and teams can have control over the game out of possession. And I think Liverpool just became a little bit too complacent at times. I want to try and look at some positives in the game. Now, again, another positive is another brilliant performance from Ryan Gravenberch. Lost the ball once or twice kind of when he was receiving it, but he gets the ball so many times in these kind of tight areas that he's not going to turn it into magic every single time. But more often than not, he gets the ball, he lays it off, but when there is opportunity to kind of drop the shoulder, manipulate his body to kind of just really control what's happening around. And we've seen it happen every single game, that it's become a bit of a trademark of Gravenberch, that he can beat 1, 2, 3 players with just the movement of his body without even touching the ball. And he was doing it again today. There was a couple of occasions when he was doing that, and he managed to break. Got forward a little bit when, Jones covers and he can break forward. I think in the Bologna game we saw Gravenberch getting a bit of a relationship with Mo Salah, which was good to see. It didn't quite happen today for him there, but you can see there's periods there when Gravenberch will press high, usually when there's more of a traditional fullback. Obviously Palace don't play with your regular fullbacks, but Gravenberch I thought was great again today. Van Dijk for me was player of the match. He was brilliant again. It was another 8, another boring Van Dijk performance, I like to call it, because he's just doing it time and time again. I think Van Dijk's at a level now where it's as good as any other time we've seen him in the Premier League. I don't think he'll ever be as respected as his first full season in the Premier League, because he's just kind of going under the radar a little bit. But he's been brilliant every game. He never looks like he's getting pushed into a position he doesn't want to be. And for a player of his kind of advancing years, sometimes the opposition can target those players because maybe that yard of pace is gone. But Van Dijk's positioning and just his order in general is so impeccable. Players don't want to go one-on-one with him. They don't want to try and knock the ball past him and test his pace, because it's such a difficult thing to do. So there's a lot of football left in Virgil van Dijk, and hopefully a lot of football for Liverpool for Virgil van Dijk. But as the game went on, it came to a point maybe about 15, certainly 10 minutes from the end, where Liverpool were accepting that they were in a little bit of a scrap. They were managing the game a little bit better. And so from that respect, it's good to see Liverpool trying to win the game ugly. You can't always win it with fantastic football. And Liverpool have had a bit of an up and down period the past couple of weeks where they're not playing brilliant football for the whole game. We're seeing little periods, like I think going back to the Bologna game, there's 10 minutes there where Liverpool, I think, played some of the best football that we've seen under Slot. But then the rest of it, they were on the back foot. Today was a bit of a mismatch there. First half, again, it was all about controlling the game, taking the sting out of an away game. Second half, I think we really had to kind of change the outlook and change the formation. It'll change the tactics a little bit there and try and just be that little bit more aggressive, because I don't think it's ever good, certainly not good for Liverpool, going into that last 10-15 minutes when there's only a goal in it. Today, maybe they've get that little bit of confidence from the fact that they know they can see a game out under tricky circumstances, just like we've done maybe over the past couple of weeks. We've won ugly. Not always pretty to see, but if you're going to win anything in the league, certainly, or you're going to challenge in the league, you're going to win any trophies, you've got to be able to win ugly. Liverpool did it. It was great to see. Big shout there for a penalty for Palace. First I was saying no chance. Looking at it again, I was thinking if Liverpool would have been in the same situation, if someone would have had older Jota or Diaz or whoever in those positions, I would think that we maybe should have had a penalty. I think it's debatable. I think there's so much holding of players in the penalty area, especially on corners there. I think maybe to give the penalty there, would be a severe lack of consistency from what we see week in, week out in the Premier League. So possibly Liverpool, got the right decision there, but I think on another day we could have conceded there and we could have, made things difficult for ourselves. But at the minute, I think maybe it was just the right call. And over the balance of play, Liverpool, I think, were the deserved winners of the game. Really sad to see Alisson Becker go off. Yaros came on, did brilliantly. A lot of pressure on the lad there to come on for Liverpool in the Premier League game when we were under the cosh a little bit. Did everything you'd expect a top keeper to do, but he didn't flap. He kept his confidence, kept his concentration, did really well. Hopefully Kelleher, though, is back for the next game, gets over his illness, whatever that is. We see him starting if Alisson isn't able to start. It's a bit concerning what we're seeing from Alisson when his injuries that he's been picking up over the last year or so. Hopefully, the medical team can get to the bottom of that. Maybe we can afford to give him a little bit of a rest, because we know that Kelleher is a more than able deputy So the next game, what is it? Well, we're going to the international break. Next game is Chelsea, which we do have as a Sunday game. So Liverpool get that extra day, which I'm sure Slot will be ecstatic with. I think this is the biggest test of Slot's short Liverpool career so far. Certainly bigger than Manchester United, I think. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, everyone will come back from the international break fully fit. From this game, it was an ugly win that Liverpool deserved to get, and Liverpool go in to the international break top of the league. And that's something that we all would have snapped your hands off if we would have offered it when Arne Slot signed the contract to be Liverpool manager. So up Arne Slot and up the Reds. Here we go.